Hey there, YouTubers. Me again. I'm taking a break. I've got more things that are broken than, I don't know, a dozen eggs have been thrown out of a second story window. Second story window? Yeah. There's bushings to be done on the S10. There's a front end to be put on a Toyota. There's a whole car to put together on a Javelin. There's just stuff to do. I've got a whole Barracuda that I've not even started on. But all that's getting pushed aside for today because I want to work on the old Gremlin. Tired of doing stuff I gotta do something I want to do. You know, so I'm going to push all that gotta do, honeydew, gotta fix your own driver cars. I'm pushing all that aside for today. We're going to work on a Gremlin. And have a little fun for once. Now, last time I left you, we had put the motor in it, but there was no oil pickup in it. So I've got the new oil pickup. So this engine's going to come back out, then it's going to go back in. Okay, let me try that in English. After it's going to come back out, I'm going to put the oil pump pickup back in, and then I'm going to put it back in the car. Then we're going to start hooking up the transmission, and then we're going to start fitting stuff. Once we get the tranny in there, we're going to go ahead and try to get some exhaust hooked up, find out what I'm going to do for exhaust. I'm a little bit leery on that one. I don't know what I'm going to do. I bought manifolds. I don't know if they're going to work. I've got some headers hanging on the wall. I don't know if they'll work. I've got some on order. Well, not on order. I've got some in my wish list that look like they might work, but I'm a little skeptical about spending $300. I was going to say $500, but no, they're like $250 something, $280 something, but almost $300 on something that might work. You know, I don't have that kind of money to waste, if you will. I mean, I think I can send them back, then I'm going to have shipping involved, and I don't really like doing a company like that, especially a company that treats me well. I don't want to buy it and say, oh, well, I don't fit, I'm going to send it back. I'd rather not do that. So we're going to try really hard to come up with something. The worst comes to worst, I may buy a set of headers, or I've got a set of headers. I might use the flanges and then make it my own. I might tack it all in place, maybe take it out to volunteer muffler, and let them do it all up nice with a TIG welder and make it all look pretty, you know. We'll see what happens. But for now, we're going to take this engine out, put the pump pickup in, put the engine back in, get the transmission hooked up. That's my goal for today. If I get that far, I might start fitting some stuff. We're just going to loosely fit it, maybe get an exhaust that looks like it might work. Then I want to see if I get these big old Hemi valve covers to fit. That's my biggest goal right here. All this other stuff has to be done. I did it in the last video where I just kind of got them in there. Looks like it'll work, but with the engine cockeyed and everything, not accurate. So once we get the transmission in, everything hooked up where it's going to be, then we can start trimming and cutting and denting and doing what we got to do to make this swap look right. Because if it doesn't look right, I'm not going to do a hack job. You know, I know hack jobs are kind of the in thing, you know, nobody puts paint, nobody puts pretty, nobody, you know. When I'm done with this car, I want it to look like it belongs that way. I don't want people to look and go, that looks fake. You know, it's going to be the real deal, right? We want it to look real. Even though it is an illusion. Like television, right? That guy gives him a punch, looks like he really hit him, right? That's what we want. We want it to look like it's really hitting you. So that's what we're after on this car. See if I can do it. We're going to be testing my ability. But for now, let's just get the engine and transmission in it. So let's get started. All that extra work for this. That's all I really need to do is put this pump in. It's amazing how much oil is still in this engine, considering I've had it upside down, inside out, and in between so many times. I think she'd be empty, but nope. Now I've got my new pump here. Got some red Loctite, which we're going to put here with it. If I can get this plastic bag open. I think it's child-proof, so therefore I probably can't get it open. Got to have your trusty Leatherman. Which I will set down somewhere and lose it. Take this out of here. Alright. Which is going to go right there. Now, putting these in is a trick. The other one I was able to wiggle it out, but putting these in, probably not going to happen. I'll show you what I usually do. Alright, I got it held on by, I got some Loctite on here. Got it held with a pair of vice grips. I'm going to gently tap on it with a mallet. I'm going to make sure we're not damaging it all. Of course, this mallet's disintegrating and getting all over the inside of the engine. Bottomed out to me. Well, maybe a tiny bit more. Let me get my spectacles and double check it. Now it does seem stupid that I pulled this whole engine out just to put that pickup in there. Trying to put the engine in was kind of the dumb part. It's against my normal better principles, but because this is YouTube and I needed an end video where I ended it, and it was something that I did just for you guys there on YouTube. Alright, let's see, we've got this way a little bit. This is always the fun part, is getting it to line up, because this engine is tight. I mean, it is tighter than my wife's pocketbook, if you know what I mean. That's pretty darn tight. So I'm going to go ahead and set this old girl down in there. Needs to go passenger side just a wee bit more. What am I hanging up on over here? Oh yeah, the dippy stick over on this thing. Dipstick on this thing goes way over. And there's reasons for that, which we'll explain at another time. All this junk's in the way. But yeah, we need to go that way some more. I'm going to try very hard not to get my fat head in the way. I'm going to put this pilot shaft bushing in. Well, maybe I should put it in first. Slide that in here. And I'm going to hit it. Cockeyed. Now they make a driver for this, which is much, much better. But do I have one? No, I don't have one. But I do have this, which is close. what you don't see on this flywheel is weights. And that be because it's the right flywheel for a small block. If it had weights, it would be a 454. We're going to line up our little dowel here. If you look, there's a little hole right here. That is just for that purpose. And now I'm turning the engine instead of lining up the flywheel. That's awesome. It's another day, kind of cold, so got myself a beanie just to keep the old brain warm. And got to put the cross member in, got the transmission finally. It gave me a bit of trouble. It lined up okay, but it was kind of stubborn going in for whatever reason. And I do want to remember to put this little baby in here. This is a speedometer cable, and because this is a swap, the speedometer cable has to go kind of weird. So I'm going to make sure I feed it over the top of this transmission before I get all the other good stuff in. So now we're going to put in the cross member. I've got this plate that I made last time that has to go here, but my bolts are not lining up. These four line up, these two don't. If I line these two up, these four don't. So I have two options. I can either put this in place and then weld to this plate, which I can do, but I think all I'm going to do is I'm just going to drill two holes where they need to be, maybe even slot it. I can probably slot these. That'd be an idea. Drill a couple of holes and slot them. Drill two here, slot them. That'll give me a little adjustment for, if I want to do a different engine swap, maybe put in a big block or something. So we're going to cut it off here for today. This is a bigger project, so I hate to end it here. This is where I'm going to end it. I hate to end it here, but it's the end of the day. It's getting late. I've got to work in the morning. 4:30 comes early, and it's been bad weather all weekend, so I've had to push a lot of my classics out into the rain and nastiness, and just to work in the shop, make room in the shop to work. So it's just been one of those days. I spend more time moving cars than I get to work. But we did get the transmission in. We got the clutch in. I got the shifter hooked up. We've got the cross member in. I do have to put in that little bracket for the swap, obviously. And I think I'm going to slot it like I said. So pretty much we're going to end it here. Hopefully next week, God willing, I'll have a little time to work on the Gremlin again. God willing, if nothing breaks on my regular cars. I have a quickie that I want to do on shops that are not exactly honest, and I'll explain all that in another video. But several times now, I brought my car to shops to have the front end aligned and got lied to, saying you need this and that, it's going to be $800, $1,000, whatever, and it wasn't. So we'll go over that another time when I have that. But for right now, I want to keep working on the Gremlin, so stay tuned, keep watching, because once we get underneath settled, we're going to start working. Well, the next hurdle is actually going to be the clutch, because as I showed you before, the oil filter is right in the middle of where the clutch goes, the clutch torque tube. So we're going to have to make a bracket. I did look into going hydraulic. Not an option. $600 and some to go with a hydraulic system. I may waste $100 to try to do it for the Sonoma. The Sonoma has a slave cylinder that pushes the fork, and I can build. If I got to build a bracket, it's not that hard to build a bracket for slave cylinder. My only worry is, will I have enough movement? But I've got a Sonoma or an S10. So mine's a Sonoma, but an S10 is the same thing. And if it doesn't work, if I can't make it work, one, I could probably return it if I don't make it too ugly. Two, if the one ever goes in my Sonoma, I got a spare. So it's really not a bad idea. So I may, if it turns out where this bracket is just going to be a total mess, I may go ahead and try to build a bracket for a hydraulic clutch like the Sonoma has. And so I think I want to stick with the linkage for now, just because of where to put everything and new rods and make it. Either way, it's a bit of fabrication. So that's going to be the next video, is making that all work. So keep an eye out for the next video. Hopefully it'll be next week. But for now, see ya. Don't forget to subscribe and like it and tell your friends. And yeah, that's it. See ya.